I saw her on a TV show, and I had never seen her before, and I said, that's it. Whoever she is, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to take a chance.
Robert Redford wasn't just another Hollywood star. He was the man. The kind everyone admired, the kind whose charm could light up a room, and whose calm confidence made people stop and stare. But beneath that flawless smile and smooth style of the Sundance Kid lived a man shaped by love. Love found, love lost, and love he could never let fade away. Now at 89, Redford is finally sharing the truth about the 6 women who left a mark on his heart. The first wife who believed in him long before the fame, the stunning actress who left too soon, the wild romance that nearly broke him, the close friend who could have been so much more, and the one woman who finally brought him peace. These stories aren't cheap Hollywood rumors. They're the real, untold moments that shaped the man behind the legend. Because Redford's greatest love stories were never written into his movies. They were lived, deeply and quietly. Number 1. Lola Van Wagenen, the first love who never left his soul. Before the magazine covers, the red carpets, and the world knowing his name, there was Lola. She wasn't chasing fame. She was a historian, smart,
And it ended up being one of the most enjoyable relationships I've ever had.
confident, and far from the Hollywood spotlight. And that's exactly what Redford needed back then. Someone real, someone solid, someone who saw him not as Robert Redford, the icon, but simply as Bob. They married in 1958, back when he was still just a young dreamer hustling for a shot. The world hadn't discovered him yet, but Lola had. She saw something in him that no one else noticed. Together, they built a home, raised 4 kids, and tried to protect something simple and pure in a world that was about to pull him into the spotlight forever. Even as fame came crashing into his life, Redford's world started to change fast. But the same success he had chased for years slowly became the storm that tore through his marriage. Hollywood isn't kind to distance, and his career demanded it non-stop. The long nights on set, the endless flights, the pressure of always being in the spotlight, it all left cracks that love alone couldn't seal. By 1985, after nearly 30 years together, they quietly went their separate ways. No public drama, no explosive headlines, just 2 people realizing that sometimes love shifts in ways no one can control. Yet even after it was over, Lola never really disappeared from his heart. In later interviews, Redford spoke to her with deep warmth and respect, sometimes with that soft sadness that slips through when you mention someone who still matters. It was clear, Lola wasn't just his first wife. She was the steady force that kept him grounded during those dizzying years when fame could have pulled him under. Anchors like that never really fade. They leave a mark that lasts a lifetime. Number 2. Natalie Wood, a spark that burned bright in the golden glow of the 1960s Hollywood. This was a time when studios ruled the scene, and the paparazzi hovered like bees around honey. Somewhere in that glamorous chaos, Redford crossed paths with a woman whose beauty felt almost unreal. Natalie Wood. By the time she and Redford crossed paths, she was already Hollywood royalty. She'd grown up in front of the camera, transforming from a young actress into one of the most magnetic leading women of her era. To Redford, who was still climbing the ladder, Natalie was both a peer and an enigma, the kind of woman who drew everyone in, but never fully revealed herself. They worked together on a few films, most famously Inside Daisy Clover, 1965, and This Property is Condemned, 1966. On screen, their chemistry was undeniable, so powerful it made audiences wonder if something real was unfolding when the cameras stopped. And maybe, just maybe, it was. Redford played the cool, confident drifter, untouchable and charming, while Natalie brought the raw emotion of a dreamer searching for something real. Together, they captured the restless energy of a generation that refused to settle for ordinary. But behind the camera, the whispers started to rise. People on set couldn't help but talk, claiming there was a connection deeper than what the world was supposed to see. For Natalie, who had spent nearly her whole life under Hollywood's relentless spotlight, Redford was different. He wasn't chasing fame, didn't care about the gossip columns, and never played up to the cameras. He stayed grounded, calm, and mysterious, a real contrast to the chaos of the movie world. Friends later said Redford truly cared for Natalie, but he also understood the chaos that followed her everywhere she went. He knew the pressure, the heartbreak, and the deep loneliness that often hid behind fame's bright glow, maybe because he was starting to feel it himself. Whatever existed between them, whether it was a quiet romance or just an unspoken bond, it stayed with him long after the camera stopped rolling. When news of Natalie's tragic passing in 1981 spread, it hit Redford hard. It was a painful reminder that even the brightest stars in Hollywood could fade far too soon. He didn't often speak about her, but when he did, his tone changed. You could hear the emotion in his voice, that careful softness of someone protecting a cherished memory. Every word carried care, sadness, and respect, as if saying too much might somehow break the fragile beauty of what they once shared. Natalie Wood might not have been his forever love, but she was a spark that burned deep, a glimpse of something genuine in a world built on illusion. Fleeting yet unforgettable, her memory left a mark that time couldn't erase. Number 3. Barbra Streisand. A clash of fire and ice. If Natalie was a spark, Barbra was a wildfire, unstoppable, bold, and unforgettable. When Redford and Streisand teamed up for The Way We Were in 1973, both were already legends, but neither could have predicted the explosion that movie would ignite. Their chemistry set the screen on fire, and audiences everywhere couldn't get enough. Barbra poured her whole heart into every scene, eyes blazing with emotion, voice trembling with raw truth. Redford, on the other hand, was her perfect opposite, calm, steady, and effortlessly cool. He played his role like a man holding back a storm of feelings, and that quiet tension made every second between them burn with intensity. Off-screen, their connection was just as powerful, but layered with complexity. Years later, Streisand openly admitted she was mesmerized by him, describing him as the golden boy. For her, he represented everything Hollywood promised, but almost never delivered. A rare mix of charm, depth, and mystery. But Redford, always private and careful with his emotions, kept his walls firmly up. He admired her talent deeply, respected her drive, but her fiery nature and hunger for emotional depth sometimes left him feeling overwhelmed. Redford wasn't the type to spill his heart easily. Where Barbra craved complete openness, he needed silence and space, his version of control. It became a dance between two powerful forces, passion pulling one way, caution pulling the other. And maybe that's exactly why their movie worked so perfectly, because it didn't feel like acting. Viewers could sense that mix of yearning and restraint. It was real, raw, and unforgettable. The ending of The Way We Were, where love fades under the weight of time and destiny, mirrored what was quietly happening between them off-camera. Barbra once hinted that Redford might have been the one who got away, and maybe she was right. Number 4. Sonia Braga. The passion that almost consumed him. By the late 1980s, Robert Redford wasn't just a Hollywood star anymore. He was a powerhouse. Actor, director, producer, he could create entire worlds on screen with ease. But then came Sonia Braga, the Brazilian actress whose energy could light up an entire city. She wasn't just stunning, she was fearless, bold, and alive in every sense of the word. Known across the globe for her unforgettable roles in Donna Floor and Her Two Husbands and Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Braga radiated pure intensity. She was all heart and heat, passion that burned bright without holding anything back. For Redford, a man who'd spent most of his career controlling every emotion, she was like a spark that exploded into a fire he couldn't ignore. Their bond wasn't just about attraction, it was deeper, almost soulful. It crossed culture, emotion, and spirit. She brought the rhythm and fire of Latin America, while he brought the quiet calm of California and Utah. She lived her life raw and real, never pretending, never hiding, and that mix of honesty and chaos fascinated him. Yet at the same time, it shook him to his core. Friends close to Redford at the time said their relationship felt consuming, intense, magnetic, and unpredictable. Lola Van Wagenen had grounded him. Barbra Streisand had challenged him, but Sonia Braga, she swept him completely off his feet. For the first time, Redford wasn't the calm in the storm, he was the storm. Their worlds collided in the most beautiful way, but balance between them was impossible. The romance didn't last long, yet it left a permanent mark on his heart. Years later, Redford still spoke of Sonia with deep admiration, calling her a force of nature. And that said it all. She wasn't the woman he built a home with, but she was the flame he could never completely put out, a living reminder that even the calmest man can lose himself in the fire of true passion. Number 5. Sibylle Szaggars, the woman who finally brought peace to his heart. By the time Redford met her, he had already lived what felt like several lifetimes. He'd been the golden face of Hollywood, the groundbreaking filmmaker, the quiet activist who stood his ground against the system. He'd seen the best and the worst that fame could offer, the admiration, the heartbreak, and that haunting loneliness that sometimes comes when the lights fade. And then, just when no one expected it, love found him again. Sibylle wasn't an actress, and she wasn't part of the Hollywood chaos. She was a painter, an artist from Germany whose work pulsed with the colors of nature itself. Her art carried the same grounded energy that had always kept Redford connected to something real. They met in the 1990s during a time when Redford had stepped away from the spotlight, retreating to the peace and open air of Sundance, Utah. Sibylle's calm spirit and creative soul matched that rhythm perfectly. She didn't chase attention or headlines. She found beauty in silence, color, and stillness. Their love grew quietly, in the mountains, in the forests, in those wide-open spaces where they could just be together. Away from cameras, away from noise, away from all the chaos that came with fame. After more than a decade side by side, they finally made it official in 2009, saying their vows in a private ceremony in Hamburg, Germany. No flashing lights, no red carpets, just a moment built on love, pure and simple. Sibylle became far more than a partner. She became his peace, the calm after years of storms. For Redford, she was something rare, something grounding. She didn't just share his life, she balanced it. She was the one who could sit beside him in total silence and still make that quiet feel full of meaning. After decades spent chasing passion, heartbreak, and fame, she gave him something he never expected to find: stillness. At 89, when Redford reflects on his journey, it's clear that Sibylle isn't just another chapter, she's the closing act, the one who walked with him into the calm of twilight with grace and strength. If passion once set his world on fire, she was the cool water that soothed the flames. Because sometimes peace, steady, unwavering peace, is the most powerful kind of love. Number 6. Jane Fonda, the bond that never quite became love. Few pairings in Hollywood ever felt as natural as Redford and Fonda. From the moment they appeared together in Barefoot in the Park, 1967, audiences were instantly captivated. Years later, when they reunited for The Electric Horseman in 1979, and again decades later in Our Souls at Night, 2017, that same spark came rushing back. Older, wiser, but still impossible to ignore. Watching them together felt timeless, like no years had passed at all. But behind all the laughter, comfort, and easy chemistry, something far more interesting lingered in the air. They were never actually lovers. What they shared wasn't a romance, it was something deeper. A connection that hovered close to love but never quite crossed that invisible line. Redford deeply admired Jane's courage, her powerful voice, and her fearlessness in standing up for what she believed in, especially in an industry that often preferred silence. She was bold, outspoken, and impossible to overlook. Jane, in turn, never hid how much she cared for him. She once confessed that part of her wished they had been more than just co-stars, but timing, as always, changes everything. Theirs just never aligned. Redford was guarded, a man who fiercely protected his privacy, while Fonda lived loud, proud, and completely unafraid of the spotlight. Maybe Redford worried that romance would destroy the deep trust they'd built over the years, or maybe he simply knew that some bonds are too pure to gamble with. Still, when they came together later in life for Our Souls at Night, it felt like fate had come full circle. They played two widowed neighbors finding love in their later years, but for audiences, it didn't feel like acting at all. It was as if their final film together gave us a glimpse into what might have been, a love story that always hovered just out of reach. Jane Fonda wasn't a lost love, but she was a reminder of one, proof that not every connection is meant to be lived out loud. Some are meant to be felt quietly, deeply, and carried forever in the heart.
These are the loves that shaped a legend. Robert Redford's life might have looked golden to the world, a highlight reel of success, beauty, and fame. But behind that shine was a man shaped by both love and loss. From Lola Van Wagenen, the woman who gave him family, to Natalie Wood, whose fragile grace stayed with him. From Barbra Streisand's fire to Sonia Braga's wild passion. From Sibylle Szaggars, who brought him peace, to Jane Fonda, the friend who could have been something more. Each woman left a mark that time could never erase. Every one of them carved her story into his, teaching him something different about love, life, and himself. At 89, Redford's greatest legacy isn't just the films that made him a Hollywood icon. It's the real moments, the heartbreaks, and the unforgettable women who made him human. So which of these stories touches your heart the most? Behind all the charm, the fame, and that golden glow of his career lies a truth most people never saw. Redford wasn't chasing stardom, he was searching for meaning. He didn't crave applause, he wanted purpose. Every win, every loss, every deep connection shaped him into someone who valued peace more than attention, silence more than spotlight. Fame didn't thrill him, it drained him. Redford once said, "The higher you climb, the lonelier the air gets." And he lived that truth every single day. The red carpets, the flashing cameras, the endless attention, they were never really his world. His true world was nature, family, and the art of storytelling that actually meant something. By the 1990s, Redford had evolved from movie star to mentor, the man who gave new dreamers a chance to rise. He created the Sundance Institute, a home for voices often ignored by the Hollywood system, a space where real stories and raw talent could finally be seen and heard. He wasn't just making movies, he was shaping a movement. Independent artists, bold directors, storytellers with heart and grit, they all found their way because he opened the door for them. But even as he built that lasting legacy, the emotional weight of his past never completely faded. Friends close to him said he often looked back on the people who shaped his life, not only the women who loved him, but also the deep personal losses that marked his journey. He experienced heartbreak early on, losing someone close to him, a sorrow that stayed with him for decades. Maybe that's why Redford carried that quiet kind of sadness, the kind that gives peace a deeper meaning. Even in moments of joy, there was always a calmness about him, as if he understood the cost of chaos too well. In his later years, that balance between light and shadow became who he was, On one hand, the silver-haired icon who lived a dream most people only imagine. On the other, a humble man grounded by time, loss, and lessons learned. By his late 80s, Hollywood had changed completely, but Robert Redford's influence never dimmed. Younger stars called him the real deal, and directors praised him as the rare kind of artist who never lost his soul. Even after decades in an industry that can wear people down, Redford stayed true. No drama, no scandals, just pure honesty, focus, and timeless craft. He became the quiet rebel, the man who lived by his own code and somehow won, not by chasing attention or headlines, but by creating meaning in everything he touched. His story isn't just one of fame or romance, it's a story of endurance, a story about living a life that burns bright but never loses itself in the fire. And then there was the love that stayed, Sibylle Szaggars. She became his balance, his home base, the steady center in a life that had seen both chaos and glory. Friends who've seen them together say the same thing. It's calm. No games, no tension, just quiet understanding and peace. After everything he's been through, maybe that is the greatest ending of all. But here's the truth. Robert Redford never believed in endings. He always said that stories don't really stop, they just keep unfolding, even after the screen fades to black. His legacy continues, through his films, through the artists who grew under the Sundance banner, and through every dreamer who dares to tell something real. The kid from California who dreamed beyond the horizon, the husband who loved with his whole heart, the loyal friend who never turned his back, and the artist who refused to quit. Robert Redford became living proof that fame fades, but legacy never does. Because he didn't just play heroes on screen, he lived with the same quiet courage off it. Maybe that's the real secret behind his legend. He wasn't trying to be larger than life, he was simply trying to live it truthfully, completely, and without fear. And that honesty is exactly why, even now, long after the credits have rolled, his story still shines brighter than ever. So what about you? Which part of Robert Redford's story hit you the most? Was it the love that lasted, the one that slipped away, or the peace he finally found after all the chaos? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what spoke to you the most. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true Hollywood stories that go beyond the spotlight.